Hello everyone and welcome to more AEW on TEW 2020. We are here, the all-out pay-per-view in 2022 at Madison Square Garden. We start off with our buy-in show, as we get a championship change, although it's just the FTW championship. Ricky Starks beats Scorpio Sky, Taz gets involved. It's a pretty simple match. Also a simple match is the Bullet Club defeating the VIPs Club. Hammerstone pins Alexander with a Stonebreaker. Best performance of the night goes to ELP of all people. Riho versus Priscilla Kelly. Riho ends up winning. It's a close match, but Riho does pick up the win. Okay, so time for our Women's Casino Battle Royale. This is one of the long ones. So, we start off with the Diamonds entering match. This is traditional CBR rules. Diamonds are Lady Christina, Thunder Rosa, Layla Hirsch, Roxy, and Utami Hayashishida. They begin the match, and Utami quickly takes control, knocking down all four of the other competitors, but she doesn't eliminate any of them. They were kind of all just rolling to the bottom rope. She stared out at everyone, waiting for people to make moves, but all four of them get up at the same time and focus their efforts on Utami. But she's able to break free from them, fighting off all of them with surprising effectiveness, and there's really no risk of elimination. The only one close is Thunder Rosa is probably thrown over the top rope at one point, but she lands on the apron before Utami's distracted by, let's say, Roxy. Why not? No eliminations as we move on to the second group of five, which is the clubs. Vipress, Marina Shafir, Jade Cargill, Paige Van Zandt, and Jamie Hayter. The baddies and the two MMA girls, they get into the ring first, but Vipress makes a very showy entrance. She's going out there, she's looking all fancy, she's, rubbing it in that, she's attractive, no one else is, because Rose Garden stuff. But, right as she gets into the ring, she steps through the middle rope, Utami charges at her, quick elimination. Right away. So Viper's eliminated within seconds, but Utami is out of position, and Roxy eliminates Utami. The baddies and American Top Team take out the other competitors before staring each other down in the middle. They are brawling a bunch, they're fighting back and forth. Eventually, Lady Christina gets involved and is tossed over the top rope by Jade Cargill. At the end, the baddies are on top. They're in the middle of the ring. And Jade Cargill wants to eliminate Marina Shafir, but Jamie's like, hey, wait up until the next suite enters. Next suite being the Hearts. Ty Conti, Chris Statlander, Ashley Flair, Maki Ito, and Killer Kelly. Right away, Ashley Flair and Chris Statlander start brawling, and Ashley does take out Chris. Killer Kelly is the first one of the Hearts to make it to the ring, and she gets into the ring. The baddies are ready to fight her. Just walks around them. Killer Kelly not interested in fighting them. She is focused over on Roxy. And she does manage to toss Roxy over the top rope, and Roxy fights back a little bit, ready to get back in, but Utami, who is still on the outside, trips Roxy up. She falls and is eliminated. Utami beats down Roxy for a little bit. She rushes into the ring, starts fighting people, mainly Maki Ito. And she doesn't get any eliminations. When she comes back in, she gets thrown over the top rope again by Ashley Flair. And, yeah. She is then bumped into by Layla Hirsch. These two, the only ones announced on TV to be part of the Casino Battle Royale, I believe. They start fighting against each other, and eventually, it kind of does the thing where you have different groups spreading out to the outsides of the ring, and then in the center we have American Top Team and Maki Ito. Jafir and Paige Van Zandt throw out punches at Maki's face, as you do. But Maki, one of the hardest heads in the business, basically no-sells it, and she ends up eliminating Jafir. But quickly, Maki is then thrown out by Tai Conti, before Maki can go and take out Van Zandt. Conti, she sees that there's about, 5-10 seconds left until the next week comes in, so she quickly slides out under the bottom rope, not eliminated. She slides out, she's waiting for the next suite to come in, which it does. It is the Spades, Kairi Hojo, Morgan Daniels, Hamza Katana, Anna Jay, and Io Shirai. Anna Jay, she is jogging by. She quickly gets towards Tai Conti. They're just paired up together on the outside. They're waiting. Chris Statlander, actually, again, sweep before, she enters after all of the Spades, but right away, she gets in and she very quickly eliminates Killer Kelly, and then starts attacking Ashley Flair. Hams and Morgan, they have a comedy spot in there. Hams probably has her stuffed pig Goku, probably hitting some moves. Trying to think who's all in the ring at this point. Because I have a script out for all this, but I do have some things that I want to kind of ad-lib. Let's say Layla Hirsch takes a few comedy spots at the hands of Goku, but they don't last all too long when they are eliminated by... So, they do that. They eventually do manage to successfully eliminate Jamie Hayter before getting eliminated by... hold up. No, never mind. Not quite yet. Thunder Rosa starts fighting with the two. Ashley Flair, she ends up eliminating... So, Io Shirai, Layla Hirsch, they're fighting. Ashley Flair's fighting. Flair manages to eliminate Hirsch, and Io's like, hey, that was my target. They start fighting against each other. Jay and Tay finally enter. They eliminate DKE pretty quickly. And then, 3, 2, 1, the Joker hits, and it's a debuting Gianna Daddio. She quickly gets to the ring. She has a hot run. She eliminates Paige Van Zandt. She nearly eliminates a bunch of other people. Flair is nearly eliminated. Not quite. Tay and Jay, they're nearly eliminated. Not quite. Van Zandt, the only one eliminated right away. Flair is the first woman to stand up, and she gets as close to face-to-face as possible with Gianna. Ashley Flair, very tall. And they're eventually talking back and forth when Daddio is nearly eliminated by... So they're fighting eventually, and Flair gets Daddio to the ropes, trying to push her over, but Jade Cargill comes up from behind, lifts Flair up by the legs, knocks Flair out. Flair is eliminated, but Gianna Daddio, she manages to survive that. But right as she is free, she gets a super kick from Kairi, right as she breaks away from Jade Cargill. And eventually, Kairi and Io, they're staring each other down. They have a lot of history together. Even in AEW, they've had a feud against each other. But Tay and Jay start fighting against them. There's a big fight for a while. Jay and Tay, they kind of take control of the match for a little bit. Kairi and Chris get eliminated. But Thunder Rosa eventually charges out. And... Hold up. I screwed something up with the script. That's fine. Okay, so Thunder Rosa is not as, big move onto Thunder Rosa. Probably a big suplex by Io to Thunder Rosa. Down for the count there. And then Gianna Daddio charges in. She basically gives like a big, almost like a double clothesline. All three of them are eliminated at roughly the same time. Jay and Tay get eliminated by Daddio, but they pull her out. They start fighting on the outside as well. Okay. So then Io, she's still delivering some moves to Thunder Rosa, who has been in since the start. And eventually, Jade Cargill, she starts arguing with Io. They start fighting. Eventually, probably Io gets Jade onto the apron. Then Jade manages to fight off a little bit, manages to pull Io onto the apron. Thunder Rosa eventually gets onto the apron as well. And then after, so you have all three remaining women are on the apron. They're fighting. It's Jade Cargill, Io, and Thunder Rosa. Io's in the middle. That's what matters. Jade Cargill eventually eliminates Io, and eventually they nearly start to eliminate each other. But Ashley Flair actually kind of like dives in and makes sure that Jade Cargill's feet hit the floor first. So she's content that she cost Jade Cargill the win, even if she didn't win. And Thunder Rosa manages to pick up the win, and she is a little bit disappointed that her win is a little bit cheap because, well, it was a little bit cheap because of that, because Flair kind of saved her at the end. But Gianna Daddio, Liv Morgan is here. Extremely Remarkable. True. Chris. That's fine. That's fine. After this, we have our hair versus hair match. Jungle Boy versus AJ Styles. As we can see on there, Jungle Boy does pick up the win. Let me check my notes on this one. Our hair v hair match. So a lot of times, for most of the match, AJ is talking down to Jungle Boy, and he's in control for it. But eventually, Jungle Boy kicks out a phenomenal forearm, and he eventually hits his own Canadian Destroyer, picks up the win. AJ Styles tries to run out. He's, trying to get away. And Brock Lesnar, he shows up on the ramp and he's like, nope, you gotta get in there. You're getting shaved, AJ. So, yeah. That is what this segment is. Just want to get Brock in the card. He's making sure that AJ Styles gets shaved bald. After this, our TBS title match. Hikaru Shida does pick up a win. Britt Baker tried to cheat, but failed. So there's a lot of help on the outside from Cynthia Regal, but eventually Cynthia is ejected. She is thrown off from ringside, but it's enough for distraction. Britt Baker gets in a lockjaw, but Shida kind of manages to roll over, and Britt can't get out of the lockjaw. You have Shida pinning Britt Baker as she has the lockjaw, and it's a little bit of a weird positioning. Just looking at how the lockjaw is applied, but I think it is possible. Shida taps out shortly after the 3 count, so Britt Baker is held a little bit strong. I don't know if I actually managed to book that incorrectly. I did not. Okay. But yeah, it's a pretty close win. Shida barely manages to escape from Britt Baker. After this, Cody Rhodes defeats Darby Allin and Pac. Let me just check out my notes for this. Most of the match is Darby and Pac against each other. Cody is somewhat of an afterthought in his own title defense, but eventually Darby does something stupid, takes out both himself and Pac. Cody ends up pinning, hits Tiger Driver, just to make sure that Pac is down. Tiger Driver 98 picks up the win. Yeah. This is very much a thrown together fight because, well, the original opponent was taken out a week before, so yeah. Brody Lee needs a new challenger. So, New Japan Summer Struggle is going on, and of course, the original plan was Tomohiro Ishii for the US title, but Ishii got hurt. So, Brody Lee needs a new challenger. Where is my... So yeah, he's He starts off in the ring, he has the mic, and he says that Ishii was too cowardly to fight him, and he had the nerve to get himself injured. So, he needs a new opponent, and it's Shingo Takagi. Fairly standard match, and Takagi actually picks up the win. Shingo Takagi wins the IWGP US title. So yeah, after a little bit of celebration, Brody Lee does get back up, and he gets his heat back. He beats up Shingo, and says that Shingo doesn't deserve that title. He wasn't even supposed to be the opponent. That title should be Brody's for life. So he's saying that he's had to work for it. Shingo Takagi kind of just got gifted things because he's from New Japan. Basically, that's all it is. After this, Willpower versus Nat Murphy and Scott Steiner. Murphy and Steiner are a little bit on the slower side. Steiner, of course, his age is catching up to him. Nat Murphy looking just a little bit sluggish, presumably from lifting too much the night before. Willpower picks up the win. Willie Mack pins Scott Steiner. Simple as. And then they just celebrate afterwards. It's a nice little moment. Lexi Paradise versus Deonna Purrazzo. It's a pretty standard match. Lexi is a quicker fighter than Deonna. Deonna much more of a technician, a slower mat-based wrestler compared to Lexi. Lexi just keeps the pace up, then hits that Paradise Lost, the Twisted Bliss, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so first of all, no one. This was originally going to be Darren Young. It is cast as QT Marshall. So, yeah. Can't do a 2v2v1, unfortunately. But, Lance Archer actually picks up the win in the match. So, right away, start of the match, Briscoe's Bucks, they take out Lance Archer, and they basically just try to make it a single-team tag ladder match. So they do while Lance Archer eventually shows up. He's the first one to actually grab a ladder. And yeah. Eventually they start fighting. They're focusing on him for the most part. He is the biggest individual threat. So makes sense. Eventually, right near the end of the match, probably like 17 minutes in, there's 2 ladder bridges on the outside. You have your typical 3 ladders up in the ring. You have, like, imagine you're facing hard cam. You have, facing hard cam is, let me just check what I have. Jay, Briscoe. Yeah, you have Jay, you have Lance, you have Matt. Other side facing away from hard cam is Nick, and then No One and Mark. Actually, no. Flip that around, I think. Jay and Matt are on opposite sides of the ladder from Lance Archer. Typical fighting. Eventually, Nick and Mark are taken off of the ladders. They're knocked down. And massive double choke slam from Lance Archer through the ladder bridges on the outside, and Lance Archer picks up the tag team title win. Second run for the Vision, and Lance Archer doing it by himself. Mainly because the Briscoes and the Bucks were too focused on fighting each other. That's kind of the story of this match. After this, Sammy Guevara and Ace Austin pick up the win. That is not what was supposed to happen. That's not how I had booked it. Chris Jericho should interfere. So yes, where is it? Rose Garden is control for much of the match, and the 2 members of the Inner Circle just aren't clicking, really. Like, they're very much distracted by something out there. But eventually, Judas hits. Chris Jericho's music. Kip Sabian, he's in the center of the ring. He's like, what the hell? That's Chris Jericho's music. And Garza's like, just focus on him, he's not actually here. But no, Jericho is here. Garza, he goes to interrupt him. But, eventually, Sammy ends up hitting a codebreaker onto Kip Sabian to pick up the win. So yeah, Chris Jericho is back, baby. He has a new catchphrase. Very nice. After this, Bronson Steiner picks up a title defense, defeating Ricochet. This one, it's Bronson. He has the power advantage. He's really taking control of everything. Ricochet sells like death because he's an amazing bumper at the very least. So yeah, Bronson wins. Pretty simple match. Okay, lots of things here. Takahashi defeats Adam Cole in the last man standing match. They're fighting over the ring eventually, all around the arena, all around MSG. All the Dudleys try to attack Takahashi. Takahashi fends them off, and eventually hits his time bomb finisher onto a car in the parking lot. 86 rated. Again, I have boosted psychologies, I've boosted commentary ratings. This isn't a challenge run or anything. I'm here to have fun with it, so I'm not making things completely unrealistic, but like, at base psychology, they would get dinged for a 12-minute match. After this, Mayu defeats Shotzi. It's typical fare. Shotzi gets some really good offense in, but eventually Mayu barely gets a rope break on a Fright Night to kick out, or to get the pin to be stopped. Mayu wins in a very close match. CM Punk defeats Samoa Joe in an I Quit match. So, Joe focuses much of his offense on CM Punk's ribs, and he's in control for the most of the match, but eventually there's a really quick turnaround. CM Punk ends up locking the Anaconda Vice. Joe probably passes out, and Punk wins. I wanted Joe to win this, but CM Punk has creative control. So yeah. Then the men's Casino Battle Royale. I believe this is our penultimate match. So, we start off with the Hearts. Jonathan Gresham, Lucas Fenrir, Donovan Dijakovic, Satnam Singh, and Sonny Kiss. Everyone is just staring at Satnam Singh. He is the biggest threat, literally and well, at least literally, maybe not figuratively. This is his debut match. Right at the bell rings, Dijak charges at Singh, but Singh no-sells it. Dijak keeps attacking. Eventually, Lucas Fenrir, who also is a big guy in himself, I think he's a middleweight, I want to say, he starts fighting. Nothing. Singh eventually does some pretty slow, pretty safe moves. He is still very new. And he knocks down two bigger men. Eventually, Gresham and Sonny Kiss, they're actually kind of just... They're keeping to the side. They're watching out. They're the smallest people in this match by far. Everyone here is at least like 6'5". I don't know how tall Fenrir is. He's a regen. I can say whatever I want. But they're all tall. Eventually, both of them... Okay, both the big guys, Dijak and Fenrir, they're nearly eliminating Satnam Singh. But eventually, he's too big, and Gresham and Kiss finally make their move, and they eliminate Donovan Dijak. Singh, he breaks up from the attempted triple team, and eventually, he is the last one standing, as the Spades enter. Daga, Ricky Starks, Hook, Jimmy Shane, and Angelico. Everyone except for Jimmy Shane takes their time getting in there, and Jimmy, he tries his heart out. But he does provide enough of a distraction for Angelico to kind of slip around. He gets to the top rope, massive crossbody. He doesn't quite eliminate Singh, but Singh is bending back, he's over the ropes. Angelico does eliminate himself with this, technically it's credited to Satnam Singh. But because of that, everyone else that is in the match, so Gresham, Fenrir, Kiss, Daga, Starks, Hook, and Jimmy Shane, they all help eliminate Satnam Singh. And there's a moment of just like, alright, yeah, we got it. And then everyone starts fighting. Hook and Ricky Starks are the first one to attack. They batter people down, and eventually you get your groups breaking off. Starks and Hook, 2 members of Team Taz, they eliminate Lucas Fenrir. Ricky Starks, yes, he is double booked. Don't worry about it. Gresham and Sonny Kiss are working together. They don't eliminate anyone. Eventually, there's a lot of fighting. Daga is the last person standing in the ring. As the clubs enter, Eddie Kingston, Shinsuke Nakamura, El Hijo del Vikingo, Brian Pillman Jr., and Andrew Everett. Everett and Vikingo get into the ring first, and they have a good lucha thing with Daga. And eventually, Daga is eliminated by Andrew Everett. DPJ and Jimmy Shane, they've been fighting, and eventually Pillman Jr. eliminates Jimmy. Gresham and Kiss, they're fighting for a while. They're brawling with Hook and Ricky Starks, and Vikingo and Everett are fighting against Brian Pillman Jr. They're off in the corners. Eddie Kingston, Shinsuke, they're in the middle of the ring. They're arguing with each other. They're talking to each other. All that stuff. And then the Diamonds enter. Bruiser Sheridan, Tony Deppen, Joey Janela, Isaiah Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy. Sheridan and Janela, they start fighting with Kingston and Shinsuke, and the latter two start fighting together to fight off the cult. Tony Deppen eventually he gets in. He starts fighting with Gresham and Sonny Kiss and I believe it's Hook that they're fighting with. I think so, yeah. Pretty sure. They'd be fighting with them. Tony Deppen eliminates Sonny Kiss. Brian Pillman Jr. eliminates Andrew Everett. And eventually, the fighting kind of all comes into the middle. Isaiah Cassidy, massive crossbody to everyone in the middle of the ring. Gotta have one of those spots in there. And eventually, it's been like 2-3 minutes since the Diamonds entered, and Orange Cassidy has only finally now reached there. And Isaiah Cassidy, he's the only one up in there. Orange Cassidy, Isaiah Cassidy, they stare each other down, and you do the typical Orange Cassidy spot. He hands in the pockets, attempted attack, run the ropes, shoulder tackle, all that stuff. It's the typical Orange Cassidy thing. But eventually, Hook, Ricky Starks, they start fighting. Yeah. That's all happening. Gresham eventually eliminates Jonathan. Deppen eliminates Gresham. No, is eliminated by Gresham. Deppen eliminated by Gresham. Joey Janela, Bruiser Sheridan, the Cult eliminate Vikingo and Hook. In the countdown, 3, 2, 1. Your Joker is Christian Cage. Christian has a good run to start his entry. He eliminates Janela and Isaiah Cassidy. And he ends up with Orange Cassidy, and Christian's like, alright, sure. Eddie Kingston and Shinsuke Nakamura then get up towards each other. Towards those two. They start staring him down, and eventually they're fighting each other off. Eventually, as this is happening, they're in the center of the ring. Ricky Starks eliminates Jonathan Gresham and Brian Pillman Jr. As this chaos is going on, Bruiser Sheridan eventually manages to charge in. There's this it's the big four-way going on. Bruiser Sheridan charges it. He eliminates Christian. Also eliminates Orange Cassidy. Nearly eliminates Eddie Kingston and Nakamura as well. But Ricky Starks, he charges in. He saves the day. He eliminates the big, bad cult member in Bruiser Sheridan. So it's Starks, Nakamura, and Eddie Kingston as the last one. And, of course, Kingston and Nakamura, they've been working together this entire match because they have great chemistry. Found that out with house show stuff. And Nakamura eliminates Eddie Kingston. And Eddie's like, know what? Fair. Starks, Nakamura, they're fighting. They have their typical, singles match, essentially. And eventually, Ricky Starks manages to eliminate Shinsuke Nakamura and wins the Casino Battle Royale. He will be... So two really big surprise wins with Thunder Rosa and Ricky Starks, of all people, winning the Casino Battle Royales. Christian Cage is in here. WWE decided not to re-sign him, so I'm bringing him in. He won't get too much of a major role. He'll be here mainly like as a mentor. He's a good hand in the ring. It's fine. And in our main event, Miro picks up the win. Let me grab my notes for this match. So, World title match. So, quickly, Miro and Paige take out MJF, and MJF is out of the match for the first couple of minutes. He's out for a while. Also, just want to make sure. Yep, Moxley is your referee. So, yeah, throughout the entire match, Miro is trying... He's very hesitant to do big moves or try to win the match on MJF. Though he eventually, by the end of the... Probably around, like, the 20-minute mark, he gives up on that. He's starting to try to take out MJF. Griffin Slade, eventually, he's trying to get involved. He's trying to help out MJF. But you have someone who's not a pushover as the referee, Jon Moxley, paradigm shift to Griffin Slade. But that's enough of a distraction for MJF. Big low blow. Didn't really need the distraction, but it was more of to distract Miro, I guess. And it's a very, very close count, but Paige breaks it up. There's a lot of near falls. And Mox is a very by the rules ref. He's enforcing rope breaks. He's counting well. He's not really favoring anyone. Eventually, MJF gets himself to the earth on Adam Page, and there's a very questionable rope break. One of those where it's like, you can kind of see it, but at the same time, not really. And that's happening there. MJF... Okay, so MJF gets up. He is hit with a paradigm shift. Adam Page, he gets hit with a huge Machka kick. And Miro wins. That finishes our show. An 85 rating. Not bad. Not bad. Kind of expected some of these matches to do a little bit better, but that's fine. I'm fine with this. 85 rating is very good as we move on towards our road to Full Gear.